Imagine having to rely only on your abilities, determination, and desire to survive when you wake up each day in the cold tundra of Alaska, where there is no one for hundreds of miles. Sue Aikens survived bears, harsh winters, and complete isolation for over 10 years. Sue, the lead character of Life Below Zero, inspired millions of people with her bravery and strong independence. What happens, though, when her health and even the weather start to fail her? Today, we'll look at Sue Aikens' amazing adventure and the challenging obstacles that have shaped it, demonstrating how even the most courageous wilderness fighters must confront their limitations. Does physical pain and solitude weaken even the most resilient survivalists? Sue Aikens gained notoriety on National Geographic's Life Below Zero for her grit and fortitude in surviving Alaska's hostile environment. Sue demonstrated to viewers what it takes to lead a really independent and resilient life while living alone in the remote Kavik River camp in the Arctic Circle. However, Sue's formerly energetic and unyielding lifestyle has been affected by a growing array of medical and mental issues over the years. Sue was born in 1963 in Chicago, Illinois, but when she was 12 years old, her parents divorced, and she landed up in Alaska. She became fascinated with leading an independent and self-sufficient existence as a result of her early wilderness experience. Sue flourished in Alaska for years, learning the skills and information needed to live in some of the harshest conditions on the planet. She eventually arrived in the remote Kavik River camp, where she would spend more than 20 years. She gradually adapted to the dangers and difficulties of her way of existence, creating a living for herself in a location that few would venture to. About 200 miles north of the Arctic Circle, at Kavik River Camp, Sue lived a challenging but incredibly rewarding life. She oversaw the camp, which was used as a base for hunters and explorers during the warmer months, and lived alone on Alaska's vast, frozen tundra. To keep herself safe, she needed to check supplies, maintain the camp's infrastructure, and prepare for any eventuality. However, daily life at Kavik was more than simply routine. It was an ongoing struggle against nature, which comprised deadly critters, terrible cold, and, possibly most difficult of all, the loneliness that came with being so isolated from the outside world. Sue captivated fans with her amazing strength and tough-as-nails attitude when she made her debut on Life Below Zero in 2013. Sue quickly rose to prominence on the show and was seen as the epitome of survival. Her fans appreciated her straightforward demeanor and commitment to leading a life that many others may view as unattainable. For a number of seasons, Sue was shown as almost unbeatable, a natural force capable of overcoming whatever obstacle the wilderness presented. However, the consequences of this way of living became evident as the years passed. Sue had to contend with an aging body, declining health, and a string of events that exposed the cost of living alone in one of the world's most hostile locations. The terrible bear assault Sue suffered in 2007 was one of the most important life-turning events. A grizzly bear attacked her as she gathered supplies, seriously injuring her with torn hips and head wounds. Until assistance arrived, she was able to pull herself back to the camp and give simple first aid. Despite her survival, the attack's physical aftereffects persisted, resulting in persistent pain and limited movement that only became worse with time. Sue became even more vulnerable as a result of the experience, which served as a stark reminder of the risks she faced in Alaska. Sue's health problems worsened as she was coping with the physical effects of the bear attack. Her health suffered as a result of years of living alone, juggling the physical demands of her position and experiencing bitter cold. Because of her solitary lifestyle, she started to experience joint discomfort, mobility problems, and the normal wear and tear of aging. She frequently had to cope with illness and injuries without much medical assistance because of her restricted access to healthcare. Given how far away Sue's camp is, any mishap may have disastrous results. Her Life Below Zero tale focused on her physical problems, demonstrating to audiences that even the strongest people may experience vulnerability. Sue started to feel an equally difficult mental burden as her physical restrictions grew. Sue's acceptance of her loneliness eventually became a hardship, since living distant from loved ones can create intense loneliness. Sue's mental health started to decline as a result of her loneliness and the difficulties she faced on a daily basis. On several times, Sue acknowledged that she found it difficult to cope with her loneliness, especially during the long, gloomy winters when she would spend months alone. Even though she had made this life decision, it was obvious that loneliness was starting to negatively affect her health, especially for someone with Sue's strong will. Sue's issues were made worse by her participation in the Life Below Zero production. Sue believed that parts of her life were being made up or altered for entertainment value as the show became more well-known. She questioned if she was a legitimate cast member after complaining about sequences that she believed were manufactured or altered to highlight her shortcomings. The tension reached a breaking point in 2017 when Sue filed the producers, claiming that the production crew had mistreated her and pushed her into risky circumstances for the purpose of ratings. She said that the production team put her safety at risk during filming and put the emphasis on dramatic content ahead of her health. The lawsuit exposed the difficulties Sue endured behind the scenes and damaged her once tight relationship with the program that made her famous. As time passed, Sue began to think about what was ahead. Although she had made Quebec her home, she started to doubt her ability to stay because of the psychological and physical effects of her way of life. She started thinking about ways to either make her existence in Quebec more viable or think about getting out of the camp altogether. Although she still had a deep affection for Alaska, it was getting harder to disregard her limits. As Sue became older, she had to make the tough decision to either stay in her hometown or find a more sustainable way of living. Aikens has found a love in her partner, Michael Heinrich, which has become a major part of her life. Sue is also a grandmother, her children grown, and now living throughout the United States. Despite her tough upbringing, she enjoys spending time with her family and regularly shares photos of them on social media. Sue still has to deal with the difficulties of living in Alaska, although being more conscious of her limits. She continues to inspire us not because she is unbeatable, but rather because she has the guts to face her challenges head-on. Sue's journey is amazing, even if it may not have seemed like it at one point. She will leave behind a legacy of fortitude, tenacity, and an openness to the joys and challenges of living her life as she sees fit. Sue's path is far from ended, and her tenacity and passion will surely help her advance, no matter what she does next. Her trek over the Alaskan tundra continues to be a potent example of perseverance, demonstrating to us that the human spirit is resilient in the face of extreme adversity. As she continues to overcome obstacles in her life, she leaves a legacy that will encourage others to confront their own obstacles with the same courage and determination. As of 2024, Sue Aikens' estimated net worth is $600,000. Her extended appearance in more than 160 episodes of the popular reality TV show Life Below Zero is the main source of her wealth. Aikens has made money from her isolated outpost in northern Alaska, the Quebec River Camp, which she has run for many years. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Hit that bell icon too so you never miss an update from us.